The wrench slipped from my greasy fingers and clattered against the concrete floor of my garage. Janelle's laughter drifted through the thin walls of our house, that musical sound that used to make my heart skip. Now, it made my stomach turn. I wiped my hands on an oil-stained rag and glanced at the workbench where her phone sat buzzing like an angry wasp. The screen lit up with another notification, then another. At 2 a.m, nobody gets that many innocent messages. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. Trent Mallory, you paranoid bastard, I muttered to myself, sliding out from under my 1998 Ford pickup. Just finish the brake job and mind your own business. But curiosity ruined more than cats. It destroyed marriages too. I walked over to the workbench, telling myself I was just moving her phone out of the way. The screen was still glowing. Russell Baird's name appeared at the top of a string of messages that made me freeze. Can't wait to see you in that red dress tomorrow night. Your husband doesn't deserve someone like you. Leave him. We both know you want to. I scrolled up with trembling fingers. Weeks of messages, months maybe, planning secret meetings, sharing inside jokes about my boring engineering work, photos of hotel rooms, photos of them together. My wife of 18 years was having an affair with her boss, and apparently half the city knew about it except me. The garage door leading into the house creaked open. Janelle appeared in her silk pajamas, the ones I'd bought her for our anniversary last year. Her blonde hair was perfectly styled even at this hour, like she was expecting company. Still working on that old truck? She asked, not quite meeting my eyes. You know we could afford something newer if you'd just take that promotion at Henderson Engineering. Yeah, well, some of us believe in fixing things instead of throwing them away. I set her phone down carefully, screen side up. The messages were still visible. She glanced at it and her face went pale. For a split second, I saw panic flash across her features. Then she snatched the phone and clutched it against her chest. Were you going through my messages? Didn't have to. Your boyfriend's pretty chatty at 2 a.m. Janelle's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. Trent, I can explain. Can you? Because Russell seems pretty confident that you're leaving me. When exactly were you planning to mention that? She straightened her shoulders, and I watched her transform from caught cheater to righteous victim in real time. It was like watching a master class in manipulation. You're being dramatic. Russell and I work together. We're friends. Sometimes we text about work stuff. Work stuff. I picked up the wrench I'd dropped. Is that what you call hotel rooms now? Work stuff? Nothing happened. Janelle, there are photos. Her face crumpled, but only for a moment. Then the anger kicked in. You know what? Maybe something did happen. Maybe I'm tired of being married to someone who spends more time with his tools than his wife. When's the last time we went anywhere nice? When's the last time you bought me flowers or took me to dinner somewhere that doesn't have paper napkins? I stared at her. After 18 years, after building a life together from nothing, after supporting her through business school and her climb up the corporate ladder, this was what it came down to. Paper napkins. So this is my fault. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. I set the wrench down and wiped my hands again. How long? Trent. How long, Janelle? She looked at the floor. 6 months. 6 months. While I was working 60-hour weeks to pay for her MBA loan. While I was planning our anniversary trip to Napa Valley. While I was being the faithful husband to a woman who was already gone. I want you out, I said quietly. What? Pack your things. Go stay with Russell, or Vera, or whoever else knows about this little arrangement. But I want you out of my house tonight. This is my house too. Actually, it's not. I pulled out my phone and showed her the screen. I've been documenting everything for the past hour. Screenshots, photos, voice recordings of this conversation. Illinois is a no-fault divorce state, but adultery still matters when it comes to asset division, especially when one spouse has been hiding money in secret accounts. Her face went white. You've been spying on me? I've been protecting myself, something I should have started doing 6 months ago. Janelle's phone buzzed again. Another message from Russell. She glanced at it, and her expression hardened. Fine, but don't think this is over. I've got friends, Trent. Important friends. People who can make your life very difficult. Looking forward to it. She turned and stalked back into the house. I heard her stomping around upstairs, throwing things into suitcases. An hour later, she was gone. I stood in my empty garage, surrounded by the smell of motor oil and the echoes of a marriage that had ruined without me even noticing. Outside, Mrs. Kowalski's porch light flicked on. The neighborhood gossip network would be buzzing by morning. I walked over to my workbench and opened my laptop. Time to see exactly how deep this rabbit hole went. 3 days of digging through financial records and social media posts painted a picture that made me sick. Janelle hadn't just been cheating. She'd been planning her exit strategy for months. Secret credit cards, a separate bank account, even a lease application for a downtown apartment that she'd filled out 6 weeks ago. I sat in my kitchen, surrounded by printouts and bank statements, drinking coffee that had gone cold hours ago. My phone kept buzzing with calls from numbers I didn't recognize. Word was spreading through our social circle like wildfire. The doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw Vera Martinez standing on my porch with a casserole dish and her best concerned friend expression. Vera worked in HR at Janelle's marketing firm and had been her closest friend since college. If anyone knew the full story, it was her. Trent, honey, I brought you some food. Vera bustled past me into the kitchen, her dark hair pulled back in a perfect bun, her business suit wrinkle-free despite the early hour. I know you're probably not taking care of yourself. That's thoughtful. I accepted the casserole and set it on the counter. I assume Janelle sent you. Nobody sent me. I'm worried about both of you. She looked around the kitchen, taking in the papers scattered across the table. This is such a mess. Have you two considered counseling? Hard to counsel someone who's moved in with her boss. Vera's face scrunched up in what looked like genuine surprise. She moved in with Russell? Already? You didn't know? Trent, I swear I had no idea how serious this had gotten. I knew they were close at work, but I thought it was just flirtation. Office politics, you know? Russell flirts with everyone. I studied her face. Vera had always been hard to read, but she seemed genuinely shocked. Either she was telling the truth, or she was a better actress than I'd given her credit for. What do you know about their relationship? Vera sat down across from me, smoothing her skirt. Honestly, I thought Janelle was just enjoying the attention. Russell's been going through a messy divorce, and he's been predatory with some of the women at work. I warned Janelle to be careful, but she said she could handle him. Apparently, she handled him right into a hotel room. I'm so sorry, Trent. If I'd known it was this serious, I would have said something. My phone rang. The caller ID showed my best friend Eli's name. I'd been avoiding his calls for 2 days. Hey, Eli? Finally! Dude, what the hell is going on? Sarah heard from someone at the gym that Janelle left you for her boss. Please tell me that's not true. Eli owned a boxing gym downtown where I'd been working out for the past 10 years. He was one of the few people who'd always been straight with me, which was why I'd been dreading this conversation. It's true. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry, man. You want to come down here and hit something? I've got a heavy bag with Russell's name on it. Actually, yeah, that sounds perfect. I hung up and looked at Vera. Thanks for the food. I need to get out of here for a while. Of course. And Trent? Don't do anything stupid. I know you're angry, but Russell has a lot of influence at the firm. He could make things difficult for you professionally. Let him try. An hour later, I was at Eli's gym, pounding the heavy bag like it owed me money. Sweat poured down my face as I worked out 18 years of frustration and rage. "Feel better?" Eli asked when I finally stopped to catch my breath. "Getting there." I unwrapped my hands and grabbed a towel. "You hear anything else through the grapevine?" "Some. Word is Russell's been bragging about stealing you away from Janelle. Real classy guy." "What else?" Eli hesitated. "Look, I don't want to pile on when you're already down, but people are talking. Some of your mutual friends are taking sides. Let me guess, they're not taking mine. Russell's got money and connections. Janelle's always been popular with the wives. You're just the boring engineer who couldn't keep his woman happy." I felt my jaw clench. Who's saying that? Does it matter? People believe what they want to believe. The truth is messier than the story. My phone buzzed with a text message from a number I didn't recognize. "Stop harassing my girlfriend or there will be consequences. R." I showed the message to Eli. His expression darkened. This guy's got balls, I'll give him that. He's about to find out what consequences really look like. "Trent, relax. I'm not going to do anything illegal, but I'm done being the victim in this story." I drove home with a plan forming in my mind. Russell wanted to play games? Fine, but he was about to learn that engineers are very good at solving problems. The next week brought a parade of awkward encounters and shifting loyalties that made me feel like I was living in a soap opera. Our friend group, built over years of dinner parties and weekend barbecues, was fracturing along predictable lines. Mike and Sarah Chen were the first to pick a side. I ran into them at the grocery store on Saturday morning, and the conversation was painfully polite. "Hey, Trent," Mike said, avoiding eye contact. "How are you holding up?" "I'm fine. Thanks for asking." Sarah shifted uncomfortably, clutching her shopping cart like a shield. "We heard about the situation. I'm sorry it didn't work out." "It didn't work out?" I repeated. "That's an interesting way to describe adultery." "Look, man," Mike said, "we don't want to get involved in the drama. Janelle's our friend, too." "Of course she is. I'm sure she's told you her side of the story. She said you two have been having problems for a while, that you've grown apart." I nodded slowly. "And what about the part where she's been screwing her boss for 6 months?" Sarah winced. "Relationships are complicated, Trent. Maybe if you'd paid more attention to her needs—" "Right. My fault." I pushed my cart past them. Good talk. By Monday, I'd heard from 3 more couples in our social circle. The message was always the same. They didn't want to take sides, but somehow Janelle's version of events was the one they found more believable. The successful marketing executive whose husband had neglected her emotional needs versus the boring engineer who couldn't see what was right in front of him. I was losing friends faster than I was losing weight, and that was saying something. The stress had ruined my appetite completely. Tuesday evening, I was in my garage working on the pickup when my neighbor Mrs. Kowalski appeared at the open door. She was in her 70s, with steel gray hair and opinions about everything. "Trent, dear, I wanted to check on you. I saw all the commotion last week." "I'm fine, Mrs. K. Thanks for asking." "That wife of yours always thought she was too good for this neighborhood. Walking around in those fancy clothes, looking down her nose at the rest of us. Janelle's not a bad person. She just made some bad choices." "Humph. Bad choices, my foot. She's a gold digger who traded up the moment she found a bigger fish. Mark my words, this Russell character will dump her the minute something shinier comes along." I wanted to argue, but Mrs. Kowalski wasn't wrong. Russell had a reputation for cycling through girlfriends like most people change their oil. "The real crime," she continued, "is how your so-called friends are treating you. I saw Mike Chen at the hardware store yesterday, telling anyone who'd listen that you were emotionally unavailable, and that Janelle deserved better." My hands tightened on the wrench I was holding. Mike said that? Word for word, and that wife of his was nodding along like a bobblehead doll. I thanked Mrs. Kowalski and finished up in the garage, but my mind was racing. Mike and I had been friends since college. We'd been each other's best men. I'd helped him move 3 times and lent him money when his business was struggling. Now, he was spreading Janelle's narrative around town like gospel. Wednesday brought the breaking point. I was having lunch at Murphy's Pub, a place where I'd eaten countless meals with my friend group over the years. The waitress seated me at my usual table, but the atmosphere felt different, hostile. I was halfway through a burger when I heard familiar voices from the booth behind me. Tom and Jennifer Walsh, another couple from our circle, were having what they thought was a private conversation. "I feel bad for Trent," Jennifer was saying, "but honestly, Janelle seems so much happier now. Did you see her at the charity gala last weekend? She was glowing." "Russell's a good guy," Tom replied. "I've done some contracting work for his company. He treats his people well, and he's got a good head for business. If Janelle's happy, good for her. I just think it's sad that Trent can't be mature about this. Vera said he's been calling Janelle constantly, trying to get her to come back." I set down my burger. That was a lie. I hadn't called Janelle once since she'd moved out. "Really?" Tom sounded surprised. "That's not like him." "Well, people change when they're desperate. Vera thinks he might be having some kind of breakdown. She's worried about what he might do." I turned around in my seat. "Hey, Tom, Jennifer." They both jumped, like they'd been caught stealing. "Trent, we didn't see you there." Jennifer's face was bright red. Obviously. I stood up and walked over to their booth. "Just curious, where did you hear that I've been calling Janelle constantly?" Well, Vera mentioned," Jennifer stammered. "Vera's been telling people I'm having a breakdown?" Tom cleared his throat. "Look, man, we're not trying to get involved. You're already involved. You're spreading lies about me based on gossip from someone who works with my cheating ex-wife. How is that not getting involved? We didn't mean—" "You know what? Save it." I threw a 20 on my table and headed for the door. "Enjoy your lunch." I sat in my truck in the parking lot, hands shaking with rage. It wasn't just the betrayal anymore. It was the systematic destruction of my reputation, orchestrated by people I'd considered family. My phone rang. Eli's name appeared on the screen. "You okay? You sound weird." "Define okay?" "Fair point. Listen, I just heard something you need to know. Russell's been telling people at the country club that you threatened him, says you've been following him around, making his life hell." "That's bullshit. I haven't even seen the guy since Janelle moved out." "I know that, and you know that, but other people don't. Word is getting around that you're some kind of stalker. Thought you should hear it from me first." I closed my eyes and leaned back against the headrest. "They're destroying me, Eli, systematically. First they steal my wife, then they steal my friends, now they're making me out to be some kind of dangerous psycho. So what are you going to do about it?" "I don't know yet, but I'm done playing defense." That night, I sat in my empty house with a legal pad and started making lists. Russell's weaknesses, Janelle's secrets, the lies they'd been spreading, the friends who'd betrayed me. If they wanted to play dirty, I could play dirty too. I just had to be smarter about it. Thursday evening, I was at Eli's gym when my former friend group walked in for their weekly basketball game. Mike, Tom, and 3 other guys I'd known for years. They saw me at the weight bench and huddled together like they were planning military strategy. Finally, Mike approached me while the others hung back near the door. "Trent, we need to talk." I set down the dumbbells and grabbed my towel. "About what?" "About this situation with Janelle and Russell. People are concerned about your behavior." "My behavior?" "Come on, man. The threatening texts, following Russell around, harassing Janelle at work. This has got to stop." I stood up slowly. Mike was shorter than me by about 4 inches, but he was trying to project authority like he was my boss instead of my former friend. "I haven't sent any threatening texts. I haven't followed anyone around, and I definitely haven't harassed Janelle at work. Who told you I did?" "Multiple sources. Look, we get it. You're hurt, but you can't take it out on other people. Multiple sources. I nodded. Let me guess. Vera, Russell, Janelle herself? It doesn't matter who. It matters to me, because every single one of those sources has a reason to lie about me. Tom stepped forward. Dude, just admit you've been acting crazy and get some help. We're trying to be your friends here. My friends? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. My friends would have asked for my side of the story before assuming I was guilty of something. My friends would have supported me when my wife of 18 years decided to screw her boss. We're not taking sides, Mike said. Bullshit. You took sides the minute you believed their lies without question. The other guys were moving closer now, forming a loose circle around me. I recognized the formation from our old football days. They were trying to intimidate me. Look, Trent, said Dave Morrison, a guy I'd helped move into his house just 6 months ago. We think you should stay away from Janelle and Russell for a while. Give everyone some space to cool down. Or what? Or we'll have to take steps to protect them. The gym had gone quiet. Other people were watching now, including Eli, who was walking over from the front desk with a very unfriendly expression on his face. Are you threatening me, Dave? I'm giving you friendly advice. Here's some friendly advice for you, Eli said, stepping up beside me. This is my gym, and you're making my customers uncomfortable. Time to leave. This doesn't concern you, Mike said. Actually, it does. Trent's been coming here for 10 years. You guys show up once a week to play grab ass on my basketball court. Guess who I'm more loyal to? The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. I could see the calculation in Mike's eyes. 5 of them, 2 of us, but Eli was an ex-boxer who still looked like he could bench press a small car. This isn't over, Tom said. Yeah, it is. I stepped closer to him, close enough that he had to look up to meet my eyes. You want to protect Janelle and Russell? Fine. But the next time you spread lies about me or threaten me or try to intimidate me, I'm going to stop being the nice guy you think you can push around. Are you threatening us now? I'm making a promise. Stay out of my business, and I'll stay out of yours. They left without another word, muttering among themselves like a bunch of high school bullies who'd just been faced down by the kid they thought was an easy target. You okay? Eli asked. Getting there. I picked up my water bottle and took a long drink. Thanks for backing me up. Those guys were never your real friends anyway. Real friends don't abandon you the minute things get complicated. He was right, but it still hurt. 18 years of marriage, gone. 20 years of friendship, gone. My reputation, my social circle, my sense of who I could trust, all of it destroyed in the span of 2 weeks. But I was done being the victim. Friday morning, I made a decision that would change everything. I called in sick to work and drove downtown to the offices of Hartwell Associates, the marketing firm where Janelle and Russell worked. I didn't go inside. Instead, I parked across the street and waited. At 11:30 a.m., Russell emerged from the building with 2 other men in expensive suits. They walked to a nearby restaurant, laughing and talking like they didn't have a care in the world. I followed them inside and requested a table near theirs. The hostess, a young woman with bright pink hair, seemed happy to accommodate me. Just one today? Just one. I ordered coffee and a sandwich I didn't want, and listened to Russell hold court with his lunch companions. He was telling them about his new girlfriend and how much better she was than his ex-wife. Janelle's got class, he was saying. She knows how to dress, how to act in public. Her husband was this blue-collar guy who never appreciated what he had. Lucky for you, one of his friends said. Damn right. And the best part? He's been calling and texting her constantly, begging her to come back. Real pathetic stuff. I pulled out my phone and started recording. Seriously? What kind of stuff? Oh, you know. I'll change. I'll be better. Please don't leave me. Classic, desperate husband routine. Janelle showed me some of the messages. The guys completely lost it. More lies. I hadn't sent Janelle a single message since she'd moved out. Think he'll cause trouble? Russell shrugged. What's he going to do? He's a nobody. I've got lawyers, connections, money. If he steps out of line, I'll crush him. What about at work? Any blowback from dating an employee? Please, I'm a partner. Who's going to complain? Besides, it's not like I'm forcing myself on her. She came to me. I stopped recording and finished my coffee. I'd heard enough. That evening, I sat in my garage with my laptop and started putting together a plan. Russell wanted to play games? Fine. But he was about to learn that some games have consequences. Saturday morning, I drove to the office supply store and bought a prepaid credit card, a cheap tablet, and a few other items I'd need for what I had planned. Then I went home and got to work. The first step was creating anonymous social media accounts. Not to harass anyone, I wasn't going to sink to their level, but to document and share the truth. I uploaded the audio recording from Russell's lunch conversation, along with screenshots of the threatening text he'd sent me the week before. I didn't have a huge social media presence, but I knew people who did. Mrs. Kowalski, for all her nosiness, had over 3,000 followers on Facebook and a reputation for sharing anything remotely scandalous. I sent her the recordings anonymously, along with a brief explanation of the context. By Sunday evening, the audio was making the rounds through our social circle. Russell's boasting about crushing a nobody and his casual dismissal of employee relationships didn't play well with people who knew the real story. But that was just the opening move. Monday, I took a personal day and drove to the downtown library. Using their public computers and Wi-Fi, I did some research into Russell's business dealings. What I found was interesting. Hartwell Associates had recently landed a major contract with the city to handle their tourism marketing campaign. The contract was worth over $2 million and had been awarded after what the local newspaper described as an unusually expedited bidding process. I dug deeper. The city council member who'd championed the contract was David Hartwell Jr., son of the firm's founder. The conflict of interest was obvious, but apparently nobody had bothered to investigate it. I spent the rest of the week gathering documentation. Public records, city council meeting minutes, financial disclosures. Everything was available if you knew where to look and had the patience to dig through bureaucratic paperwork. By Friday, I had enough evidence to write a comprehensive report detailing the questionable ethics of the contract award. I sent it anonymously to 3 local news outlets and the State Ethics Commission. The story broke the following Tuesday. Local marketing firm under investigation for city contract irregularities. The article didn't mention Russell by name, but it didn't need to. Anyone who worked at Hartwell Associates would know exactly who was responsible for landing the contract. I was having coffee at a diner near my office when Vera called. "Trent, we need to talk." "About what?" "Don't play dumb. I know you're behind the news story about Russell's company." "That's a serious accusation. Got any proof?" "This has got to stop. You're hurting innocent people." "Innocent people?" I laughed. "Vera, your friend Russell has been telling anyone who'll listen that I'm a stalker and a psycho. Janelle's been spreading lies about our marriage to justify her affair. And my so-called friends have been treating me like a pariah based on gossip and hearsay. Where exactly are these innocent people you're worried about?" "Trent, I'm done being the victim in this story, Vera. If Russell wants to play hardball, he can deal with the consequences." I hung up and finished my coffee. Phase 2 was about to begin. That evening, I drove to the parking garage where Russell kept his BMW. I didn't vandalize it or do anything illegal. Instead, I left a simple note under his windshield wiper. "Truth has a way of coming out. A concerned citizen." The note itself was harmless, but I knew it would rattle him. Bullies are usually cowards when they realize their victims might fight back. Wednesday brought more fallout from the news story. The State Ethics Commission announced they were opening a formal investigation into the city contract. Hartwell Associates' stock price dropped 15%. Russell's name was starting to appear in follow-up articles as the senior partner responsible for client relations. Thursday morning, my phone rang. Janelle's name appeared on the screen for the first time in 3 weeks. "What do you want?" I answered. "Stop." Her voice was shaking. "Whatever you're doing, just stop." "I'm not doing anything illegal, Janelle. Just exercising my rights as a citizen to report potential government corruption." "You're destroying Russell's career." "Russell's destroying his own career. I'm just making sure people know about it." The partners are furious. They're talking about suspending him pending the investigation. Maybe he should have thought about that before he started bragging about crushing nobodies. There was a long pause. "What do you want? Money? I'll give you whatever you want in the divorce. Just leave Russell alone." "I don't want your money, Janelle. I want the truth to come out. I want people to see what kind of man you left me for." "Trent, please, you made your choice. Now live with it." I hung up and went back to work. But I wasn't done yet, not even close. Friday evening, I was at Eli's gym when Mike and Tom showed up. Not for their usual basketball game. They came looking for me. "We know it's you," Mike said without preamble. "Me what?" "The news stories, the investigation, all of it. You're trying to destroy Russell because you can't handle the fact that Janelle chose him over you." I set down my weights and turned to face them. "Prove it." "We don't have to prove it. We know." Knowing and proving are two different things. But since we're talking about proof, I've got some audio recordings you might find interesting. I pulled out my phone and played a clip from Russell's lunch conversation, the part where he talked about crushing me if I stepped out of line. Mike's face went pale. "Where did you get that?" "Russell's not as smart as he thinks he is. Neither are you." Tom stepped forward aggressively. "You son of a—" "Careful." Eli appeared beside me like a shadow. "You're in my house now." "This isn't over," Mike said, but he was backing toward the door. "Yeah, it is," I replied. "You picked your side. Now deal with the consequences." They left, but I knew they'd be back. The final confrontation was coming, and when it did, I'd be ready. The showdown came on a rainy Saturday evening in late October. I was in my garage, working on the truck's transmission, when I heard car doors slamming in my driveway. Through the window, I saw Russell's BMW and Mike's Honda. 4 men got out: Russell, Mike, Tom, and Dave Morrison. They looked like a lynch mob. I wiped my hands on a rag and walked to the open garage door. "Evening, gentlemen. What can I do for you?" Russell stepped forward. He was wearing an expensive suit that probably cost more than my truck, but his face was haggard and his eyes were red. The ethics investigation had been brutal, and word was that Hartwell Associates was considering terminating his partnership. "You know why we're here," he said. "Actually, I don't. Why don't you enlighten me?" "The investigation, the news stories, the harassment, it all stops tonight." I leaned against my workbench and crossed my arms. "That's interesting. See, I was under the impression that the investigation was being conducted by the State Ethics Commission based on evidence of potential corruption. Are you saying that's not the case? Don't play games with me, you pathetic piece of shit. I know you're behind this. Prove it." Russell's composure cracked. "I don't have to prove anything. I'm telling you to back off, or there will be consequences." "Consequences?" I smiled. "Like what? You going to have me fired, destroy my reputation, turn my friends against me? Oh wait, you already tried all that." Mike stepped up beside Russell. "Look, Trent, this has gone too far. Russell's about to lose his job. Janelle's career is in ruins. Enough is enough. Janelle's career is in ruins because she chose to have an affair with her boss. Russell's about to lose his job because he's corrupt and incompetent. I didn't create those problems. I just made sure people knew about them." "You're destroying innocent people," Tom shouted. "Innocent?" I laughed. "Russell bragged about stealing my wife and crushing me like a bug. Janelle lied to everyone about why our marriage ended. You guys threatened me and spread lies about me being a stalker. Where exactly are these innocent people you're so worried about?" Russell pulled out his phone. I've got photos of you following me, leaving notes on my car. That's stalking and I can have you arrested. Go ahead, call the police. I'd love to explain to them how I happen to be in a public parking garage at the same time as you. I'm sure they'll be fascinated by your theory that documenting public corruption is somehow illegal. Dave Morrison, who'd been quiet until now, stepped forward. You think you're so smart, don't you? But you're just a bitter loser who can't accept that his wife found someone better. That's when I lost my temper. Better? I set down the rag and walked toward them. All four men tensed up. You think Russell is better than me? Let me tell you about your boy Russell. He's under investigation for corruption. He's about to be fired from his job. He's got 3 harassment complaints in his HR file that were quietly settled. And according to his ex-wife's divorce papers, he's got a gambling problem that's left him nearly bankrupt despite his big salary. Russell's face went white. How do you... Public records, Russell. Amazing what you can find when you know where to look. I turned to Mike. And you think I'm the bad guy here? This is the man you're defending? That's all lies, Mike said, but his voice lacked conviction. Is it? Ask him about the poker debts. Ask him about the settlement he paid to his secretary last year. Ask him about the cocaine possession charge that his daddy's lawyers made disappear. Russell lunged at me. You snake! I sidestepped easily and let him stumble past me into a stack of paint cans. He went down hard, his expensive suit getting covered in motor oil and dirt. Oops, I said. Careful there, Russell. Wouldn't want you to hurt yourself. He scrambled to his feet, his face purple with rage. I'll destroy you. I'll ruin your life. With what? Your connections? Your money? Your reputation? I shook my head. You've got nothing left, Russell. The Ethics Commission is going to find evidence of corruption because you are corrupt. Your firm is going to fire you because you're a liability. And Janelle is going to dump you the minute she realizes you can't provide the lifestyle she wants. That's not true, isn't it? Ask yourself this. If you lose your job and your money, how long do you think she'll stick around? A week? A month? Russell looked like he was about to have a stroke. Mike and Tom were backing toward their cars, clearly having second thoughts about this confrontation. Only Dave Morrison still looked ready to fight. You're pathetic, Dave said. All this because you couldn't keep your woman happy. I walked over to my workbench and picked up a manila folder. Dave, right? Dave Morrison, 1247 Elm Street, married to Susan, 2 kids? His expression changed. What's that supposed to mean? Just making sure I have the right guy. See, I've been doing a lot of research lately, and I've learned some interesting things about all of you. I opened the folder and pulled out several sheets of paper. Mike, did you know that Dave here has been claiming his home office as a business expense for the past 5 years, even though he doesn't actually run a business out of his house? That's tax fraud. Dave's face went pale. You can't prove that. Actually, I can. I've got copies of his tax returns and photos of his home office, which is actually just his den where he watches football and plays video games. I turned to Mike. And Mike, interesting how you got that city contract for your landscaping business right after you donated $5,000 to the mayor's re-election campaign, especially since you weren't the lowest bidder. Mike was backing toward his car now. This is insane. You're insane. Tom, your turn. How's that insurance claim going? The one where you claimed your roof was damaged by hail, even though the damage was actually caused by that tree branch you cut down yourself? Tom was already running for his car. Russell stood alone in my garage, oil-stained and defeated. What do you want? I want you to leave my property and never come back. I want you to stop spreading lies about me, and I want you to stay away from my ex-wife. Stay away from Janelle? She's my girlfriend. For now. But we both know that's not going to last. I walked closer to him. See, Russell, you made a mistake. You thought I was just some boring engineer who'd roll over and give up while you destroyed my life. But you forgot something important. What? Engineers solve problems. And you, Russell, are a problem that's about to be solved. I opened the garage door wider. Now get off my property before I call the police and show them the recordings of you threatening me." Russell stumbled toward his car, his expensive suit ruined, his dignity shattered. As he drove away, I noticed Mrs. Kowalski watching from her window with obvious approval. My phone buzzed with a text message. It was from an unknown number. "The Ethics Commission found evidence of corruption. Russell's been fired. Thought you should know." A friend. I smiled and went back to work on my truck. The transmission needed rebuilding, but that was okay. I was good at fixing things that were broken, and sometimes the things that seemed broken beyond repair just needed the right kind of attention to work better than ever. 3 months later, I was having coffee at Murphy's Pub when Vera walked in. She looked tired and older than her years. "Mind if I sit?" she asked. "Free country." She sat down across from me and ordered a coffee. "I heard about Russell and Janelle." "What about them?" "Russell's working at a car dealership now. Janelle moved back in with her parents." Vera stirred her coffee absently. "She asked me to talk to you. She wants to know if there's any chance." "Any chance of what?" "Of working things out. She says she made a mistake." I laughed, but there was no bitterness in it anymore. "Tell Janelle that ship sailed when she decided to have an affair with her boss. I'm not interested in being anyone's backup plan." "She's really sorry, Trent. She knows she hurt you." "I'm sure she is. Sorry she got caught. Sorry her boyfriend turned out to be a loser. Sorry her friends abandoned her when the money dried up. But that's not the same as being sorry for what she did to our marriage." Vera nodded slowly. "What about you? Are you seeing anyone?" "I'm focusing on myself right now. Turns out I like the person I am when I'm not being lied to and manipulated." "And the others? Mike and Tom and the rest? What about them? Do you ever think about forgiving them?" I finished my coffee and stood up. "Vera, forgiveness is something you earn. None of them have even tried to apologize, let alone make amends for what they did. They made their choice when they decided to believe lies about me without asking for my side of the story." "So that's it? You're just going to cut them all out of your life?" "I'm going to focus on the people who actually deserve my time and energy. Life's too short to waste on people who don't value loyalty or truth." I left money on the table and headed for the door. Outside, it was a beautiful spring day, the kind of day that made you glad to be alive. My phone rang as I was walking to my truck. Eli's name appeared on the screen. "Hey, what's up? You busy tonight? I'm having a barbecue at my place. Just a few people from the gym. Thought you might want to come." "Sounds good. What can I bring?" "Just yourself, and maybe that potato salad you made for the last fight night. That stuff was amazing." I smiled as I climbed into my truck. The engine started on the first try. All that work on the transmission had paid off. As I drove home, I passed Russell's old office building. There was a "For Lease" sign in the window where Hartwell Associates used to be. The ethics investigation had destroyed more than just Russell's career. It had brought down the entire firm. I didn't feel bad about it. They'd made their choices, and choices have consequences. I pulled into my driveway and sat for a moment, looking at the house I'd shared with Janelle for 18 years. It looked different now, smaller, maybe, but also more peaceful. Like a weight had been lifted from it. Mrs. Kowalski waved from her garden. "How are you doing, dear?" "Better every day, Mrs. K. Better every day." I walked into my house and started making potato salad for Eli's barbecue. Outside, the sun was shining, and for the first time in months, the future looked bright. Sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even. It's building a better life than the one that was taken from you. And sometimes, the people who try to destroy you end up destroying themselves.